Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be talking about the death of a woman named Amy Robsart. Amy Robsart was born on the 7th of June 1532 in Norfolk, and she was the daughter of a gentleman farmer, Sir John Robsart. Just before her 18th birthday, Amy married Robert Dudley. You may know the name. Robert Dudley was the younger son of John Dudley, the first Duke of Northumberland. Now, Robert's father led the government of the young King Edward VI, and he had actually married his eldest son, Guildford Dudley, to Edward's cousin, Lady Jane Grey. After King Edward's early death at the age of 15, the Duke of Northumberland tried to put his daughter-in-law Jane onto the throne. But Edward's eldest sister, Mary Tudor, marched on London to claim the throne, and she was welcomed by the people and proclaimed Queen. Mary had Robert's father, brother and sister-in-law executed, and Robert was sentenced to death and imprisoned in the Tower of London. But in the end, he did not face the executioner's block and was released in October 1554. That same year, Amy's father died, and then her mother died a few years later, which meant that the Dudleys were able to inherit the Robsart estate. In 1558, Queen Mary died and her younger sister Elizabeth became Queen. Queen Elizabeth made Robert Dudley the master of her horse, a position that meant he had close contact with the Queen and that he would have to spend most of his time at court. So Robert moved to the royal court and Amy stayed living at the house of William Hyde. William Hyde's home was in Frockin, Hertfordshire, where the couple had actually been staying there while they were not in London. So Queen Elizabeth and Robert Dudley appear to have fallen in love with each other, with many at court speculating that the Queen would marry Robert Dudley in case his wife should die. Now, it does appear that at this time Amy was ill from an issue with her breast, probably breast cancer. Now, Queen Elizabeth kept Robert mainly at her side, but he was able to visit Amy in Easter in 1559. And then in May 1559, Amy actually came to London. But after this visit, the husband and wife were never to see each other again. In December 1559, Amy moved into Cumnor Place, also known as Cumnor Hall, in the village of Cumnor near Abington in Berkshire. Cumnor Place was actually rented by a friend of Amy and Robert's, Anthony Forster. Amy lived in a large upper storey apartment in the house that had its own entrance and a staircase leading to it. Amy lived a fairly good life at Cumnor Place. She received money from the Robsart estate directly, and with this she was able to pay for her servants, buy herself nice dresses, and she did also receive presents from her husband there. On Sunday the 8th of September, Amy Robsart was found dead at the bottom of a flight of stairs in her home, her neck broken. She was 28 years old. But how did she die? Was it an accident? Was it suicide? Or was she murdered on the orders of her husband and the Queen of England? Robert Dudley immediately ordered an inquiry into his wife's death. On Sunday the 8th of September, the fair had come to Abington, and Amy had insisted that all of her staff go and enjoy this fair, and she actually became quite angry with members of staff who did not want to go. Amy's staff were questioned, and her maid, Mrs. Pictou, said when asked that Amy would often pray to God to deliver her from her desperation. And Thomas Blount, who was Robert Dudley's steward, who Robert had actually sent to help in this inquiry, said that he had heard tales of her that maketh me judge her to be a strange woman of mind. So could Amy have been depressed because of her illness, or maybe because of that her husband and the Queen were in love, and because of this decided to take her own life. The official inquiry actually found that Amy had accidentally fell down the stairs, sustaining 2 head injuries and breaking her neck in the fall. But even though the official inquiry said this, it did not stop rumours going around saying that Queen Elizabeth had Robert Dudley's wife murdered so that she and Robert could marry. Now, Robert Cecil, Queen Elizabeth's principal secretary, was actually one of the people responsible for these rumours. He actually felt threatened at the possibility of Robert Dudley becoming king and so losing his influence over the Queen, and knowing about Amy's death before the general public did, he told the Spanish ambassador that Robert and the Queen wanted to marry and were going to do away with Amy by poison. So Robert and the Queen were completely shocked by these rumours, and they both said it was completely not true at all. But when Robert returned to court, people did actually expect him and the Queen to marry. But of course, they couldn't. If they did marry now, it would have confirmed the rumours that they killed off Amy just so that they could get married, and these rumours could ruin Elizabeth's reputation on the world stage. Now, throughout the years, the rumour that Amy was murdered has stuck. In the satirical libel Leicester's Commonwealth, which was a propaganda work against Robert Dudley in 1584, it says that a man called Sir Richard Verney went to Cumnor Place, broke Amy's neck and then laid her at the bottom of the stairs on the orders of Robert Dudley. And in 1608, a domestic tragedy called Yorkshire Tragedy alluded that her fall was a great way to get rid of your wife. And Victorian historian James Anthony Froude in 1863 concluded that Amy had been murdered by people who would have benefited from Robert's elevation to king. So my thoughts, I really doubt that Queen Elizabeth and even Robert Dudley had anything to do with Amy's death at all. Elizabeth was a very intelligent woman, and surely she would have known that if they did do something like this, then obviously it would be really suspicious if her and Robert married, and it would affect her and her popularity, and there might be some sort of uprising to overthrow her. I honestly think that even if Amy hadn't been found dead in suspicious circumstances and had just passed away in her sleep, I honestly don't think that Elizabeth and Robert would have married anyway, seeing as Elizabeth seemed to have some aversion to marrying anyway, possibly from what she witnessed from all her father's marriages. And I also don't think that she wanted to be upstaged by a king either, after seeing how well it went down when her sister Mary made her husband king. I honestly do think that it is more likely that Amy just happened to fall down the stairs, and being in an ill state, maybe her body was a bit more weaker, so she easily broke her neck falling down these stairs. She may have been depressed, and she may have wanted to get all her staff out of the house so she could commit suicide, but I honestly don't see how she would know that throwing herself down the stairs would automatically kill her. So I just feel that it was just a tragic accident. But anyway, what do you think? Do you reckon Queen Elizabeth had any involvement whatsoever in Amy's death, or was it an accident? Let me know below, and if you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.